This aircraft carrier is going for a routine training exercise in 1980, but unbeknownst to anyone on board, it is about to be caught right in the middle of World War II in 1941. In 1980, a man named Warren Lasky is preparing to be taken to an aircraft carrier named USS Nimitz via helicopter. He works for a defense contractor company named Tiedemann Industries and is going aboard the warship as a systems analyst and efficiency expert. The mysterious and reclusive owner of the company, Mr. Tiedemann, arrives to see Lasky off. Lasky asks to see Tiedemann, but his assistant says that won't be necessary. Lasky is a little confused as to why Tiedemann would come all this way just to literally see him off. Next, Lasky arrives on the aircraft carrier, which is preparing to leave the Pearl Harbor Naval Station for some naval exercises in the mid-Pacific Ocean. Lasky meets the captain of the ship, who expresses some annoyance over the fact that the mysterious Mr. Tiedemann delayed the departure of this ship for 2 days, just so Lasky would get on it. Commander Dan points out that Tiedemann Industries designed and built this ship, so they get some say over its movements. Lasky arrives in his assigned quarters and sneaks into the room next door out of curiosity. He discovers that the room belongs to Wing Commander Owens, who is writing a book about the history of warfare in the Pacific. Lasky starts reading the manuscript and is startled when Owens arrives. He apologizes to Owens for going through his things, but praises his manuscript. Owens is annoyed, but for the sake of conversation, he asks if Lasky is a historian as well, and he confirms that he is. Meanwhile, a storm begins brewing outside, and the captain of the ship is confused because he was told the forecast was for clear, sunny skies. The soldier responsible for the weather report is brought up, and he tells the captain that there is a strange vortex forming in front of them, which is making all the instruments on board malfunction. It seems to randomly appear and disappear. Panicking, the captain orders the ships to return to Pearl Harbor, but Owens informs him that one of his pilots is still in the air. The pilot is having trouble landing since the tether, which is supposed to help him get the plane on board, is malfunctioning. Captain orders the crew to prepare the emergency rig, which will help the pilot land, but just as his plane approaches, the ship starts passing through the vortex. As the ship goes through, an incredibly loud and shrill noise is heard all over the vessel, which causes the entire crew to grab their ears in agony. As soon as the ship passes all the way through, the noise stops. The captain and the crew get up and are surprised to see that the skies around them are suddenly clear and sunny. The captain asks what happened to the plane that was trying to land, and the crew informs him that it is nowhere to be seen. He orders the entire crew to begin manning their battle stations. Just then, the plane is seen coming in, but after it lands, the pilot is removed from it unconscious, which puzzles Owens. The captain learns that the ship has lost all radio contact with Pearl Harbor, and is getting nothing on the radar either, however. They are receiving a strange coded message. Commander Dan learns that the type of code they are receiving is really old, and hasn't been used in a long time. The captain orders Owens to send a reconnaissance aircraft over to Pearl Harbor. Meanwhile, Lasky arrives and inquires the captain about what just happened, to which the captain honestly replies that he does not know. Next, the captain gathers the heads of all departments to try and assess the situation. He admits that he doesn't know what is going on, but warns that he suspects an act of war, such as a nuclear strike, might have been committed against Pearl Harbor. Owens confirms that the reconnaissance aircraft has reached Pearl Harbor and is reporting no damage. However, he does see an unusually high amount of ships at the base. The captain is informed that a sea vessel has been detected nearby, and he orders the crew to investigate. The vessel is revealed to be a small wooden yacht carrying a senator named Samuel Chapman and his assistant named Laurel Scott. Laurel has just finished a negotiation for Chapman that might earn him the position of vice president in the next elections, but all Chapman's friend Arthur cares about is whether Chapman has slept with her. Arthur, a dog. Just then, F-14 jets arrive to investigate the vessel as per the captain's orders, and Chapman is shocked because he's never seen any fighter jets flying with such speed. Meanwhile, back on the ship, the captain is bewildered by the fact that all the programs they are picking up on the entertainment radio appear to be from the 1940s. He is even more confused when the news report talks about fighting between Russian and German soldiers in Moscow. Finally, Photos of Pearl Harbor taken by the reconnaissance aircraft arrive, and Lasky and Owens notice that the ships in the photographs are the ones that were destroyed in the infamous Pearl Harbor attack during World War II. However, they appear to be completely intact. Owens shows the captain pre-World War II pictures of Pearl Harbor from his manuscript, and they appear identical to the pictures that the reconnaissance aircraft just took an hour ago. As the three men ponder over this mystery, they are informed that two jets have been spotted approaching the wooden yacht, and they are Japanese Zero fighter jets that have not been used since World War II. However, these appear to be in mint condition. The captain theorizes that someone wants them to think they are back in 1941, but he doesn't know why. While he, Dan, and Owens try to come up with an answer, Lasky points out that they should also consider the possibility that this is all actually happening. The captain laughs at the idea, but Lasky says that while it sounds far-fetched, they need to consider all possibilities. He says that Einstein's work has proved that movement through time is possible, even if it's only in theory so far. He points out that the vortex they passed through before all this started happening was unlike any storm he's ever seen or heard of in his life. He reasons that there are many phenomena in the universe that they know very little about, such as black holes and curvatures of space-time. To them, they are as strange as electricity would be to someone in ancient times, or their F-14S would be to someone in World War II. Hence, they cannot fully rule the possibility of time travel out just because they don't understand its practical applications yet. Meanwhile, the Japanese fighter jets start shooting at Senator Chapman's yacht, killing Arthur and the yacht's captain. The F-14S request permission to fight back against them, but the captain denies it, not wanting to take any steps without fully understanding the situation. The captain asks Owens that if this is indeed December 6, 1941, instead of 1980, where would the Japanese fleet that attacked Pearl Harbor be right now? Owen points out the position on the map, and the captain sends in an aircraft to check. The aircraft confirms a Japanese fleet at that position, proving Lasky's theory to be correct. They have, in fact, time-traveled back to World War II. Meanwhile, the Japanese fighter jets destroy the yacht and are about to return to kill Chapman and Laurel, who have jumped off, when the captain gives the F-14S permission to fight back and rescue the survivors from the yacht. The F-14S destroy one of the Japanese jets, but another one crashes into the ocean on purpose. The captain orders that the survivors be brought on board, but kept in isolation. Chapman and Laurel are rescued, and during the rescue, Laurel almost drowns trying to save her dog, Charlie. Owens saves both her and Charlie. The Japanese pilot is also collected. Owens learns the senator's name, and being a historian, he recognizes him. Captain, Dan, Owens, and Lasky debate what should be their course of action now that they know for a fact they are back in World War II. Dan suggests that they defend the United States against the Japanese, and Lasky says that with firepower like theirs back in 1941, they could alter the entire course of history. Owens argues that changing history might not be logically possible, and even if it is, they shouldn't try. Lasky cites the grandfather paradox and somewhat agrees with Owens. Captain suggests that they defend the country because that is their duty past, present, or future, and afterward, they'll take their orders from the commander of the armed forces. Lasky points out that in this time, that would be Franklin D. Roosevelt. Chapman starts getting frustrated due to being kept in isolation. Meanwhile, Lasky goes through Owens's manuscript again and discovers that Chapman was the man who repeatedly warned of the possibility of a Japanese attack and advocated for greater strength in the Pacific, but mysteriously disappeared right before Pearl Harbor. He questions Owens regarding why he hasn't shared this information with everyone else, and accuses him of trying to change the course of history himself, despite his warnings against it earlier. Next, Lasky and Owens arrive to speak with Chapman, and at that very moment, taking advantage of a distraction, the Japanese prisoner disarms a guard, grabs his gun, and takes Lasky, Owens, Chapman, and Laurel hostage. He demands access to a radio, and Lasky theorizes it's because he wants to warn his captain about this ship and its capabilities. As he holds Laurel at gunpoint, Lasky comes up with an idea. He asks Owens to tell the prisoner about the secret Pearl Harbor attack plan in great detail that at this time only a Japanese pilot would know. As Owens does this, the pilot is shocked, and so is Chapman. Taking advantage of this, the pilot is attacked and killed during an encounter in which a U.S. soldier dies too. Afterward, Owens comforts Laurel, and the two bond. Chapman demands to know that if it's true the Japanese are planning an attack on Pearl Harbor, why aren't they informing the armed forces about this? Captain isn't sure how to answer him, but Chapman doesn't care. He angrily demands access to a radio, and the captain concedes. Chapman contacts Pearl Harbor, but they don't take him seriously because he says he is on the USS Nimitz, and they don't know of any ship with that name. Chapman demands that he and Laurel be flown to Pearl Harbor, and the captain agrees, but he secretly tells Owens to take them to a deserted island until the battle with the Japanese is over. Next, the captain finally announces to the entire ship the reality of what is going on, and informs them that they are about to fight the Battle of Pearl Harbor in 1941. The crew prepares to go to war. Meanwhile, Owens arrives at the deserted island with Chapman and Laurel, and Chapman is enraged to learn he's not at Pearl Harbor. While Owens helps Laurel off the plane and sets her up with supplies to keep them alive, Chapman takes out a flare gun and uses it to hold the helicopter crew hostage. He demands that they take him to Pearl Harbor, but on the way, during a tussle with the crew members, he accidentally shoots the flare, destroying the helicopter. Owens and Laurel are left behind. Meanwhile, the captain gets the F-14S in the air to prepare for battle. On the island, Laurel notices the date on one of the supply boxes, and she starts to get an idea of what is going on. Meanwhile, as the F-14S are just minutes away from intercepting the Japanese, the vortex appears behind the ship again. The captain tries to change directions to outrun it, but he is informed that the vortex appears to be following them. He realizes that perhaps they are not meant to change history the way that they are about, and he calls off the attack, ordering all the F-14S to return to the ship. The ship goes through the vortex, once again producing the shrill sound causing unbelievable agony to the crew, and they return to the present. The captain rushes out to make sure that all the F-14S have returned to the present as well, and is glad to see that they have. The USS Nimitz returns to Pearl Harbor in the present day, and the captain dreads how he is going to explain to his admirals why an aircraft carrier randomly went missing in the middle of the Pacific for a while. Meanwhile, as Lasky gets off the ship, he and the captain discuss how they've left Owens back in 1941. Lasky asks if he has any family, and the captain replies no. As Lasky is getting off the ship with the dog, Charlie, the car of Lasky's mysterious boss, Mr. Tideman, arrives again, and Charlie curiously rushes toward it. Mr. Tideman's assistant informs Lasky that he can meet him now, and Lasky is shocked as he looks in the back seat of the car and sees a much older Owens alongside an equally old Laurel. This means that the purpose of their time travel was never to stop Pearl Harbor. It was just to allow Owens to be left behind in 1941, which was his destiny all along. Owens tells Lasky to get in the car and take a ride with them since they clearly have a lot to talk about. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.